I sit before you here as the Chief of Staff to address a matter of great urgency. I have directed that we convene this press conference because I believe you play a very important role in our society, and what we need to communicate when we need to, and for you to propagate that message. This evening, I will speak to a particular issue that relates to one of our aircraft, call sign 8 Romeo Alpha Yankee Romeo. It's one of the two new Bell 412 aircraft that was on a command mission today under the command of Colonel Michael Shahood. Colonel Shahood is our commander for the 1st Infantry Battalion. He was on a mission to visit our troops on the western border. On that flight, we had the following persons: Brigadier retired Gary Beaton, Colonel Michael Shahood, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Welcome, Staff Sergeant Jason Khan, and the crew, that's the pilot and the engineer, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, Lieutenant Andy O'Crawford, and Corporal Dwayne Johnson. The aircraft was en route to our borders. It landed at Olive Creek and refueled. Shortly after takeoff, we lost communication. An ELT signal, which is the emergency locator transmitter signal, was emitted and has transmitted through satellite communication and to the aviation authorities. Whenever an ELT signal is emitted on any aircraft, it signals an issue. An ELT signal is triggered based on a crash landing, hard impact, or it can be triggered manually. I must tell you that the weather condition in the general area has been very not the best. Heavy overcast, raining, etc. The terrain is mountainous and heavily forested. On receipt of that ELT signal, it activated our analysis. We attempted to make contact with the aircraft and no communication was obtained. We immediately activated our search and rescue process. This involves a number of things: coordination across our own services and also with the private sector. We had deployed our Skyvan with a search and rescue team from our special forces, and we also had the support of Omni helicopters which also supported the search efforts today. I wish to say that those efforts in the area, by the use of the 2 aircraft I mentioned, did not yield what we were hoping for because of the bad weather condition in the area. There are some photographs we are going to show you to give you an idea how difficult it was to actually flew in the area. It's on your...
That mic, your mic, a little bit closer to you. Yes.
If you look to your right, this is the kind of weather conditions we had for the entire day. Search and rescue efforts has to be conducted in a safe manner. Having known the danger and the challenges of being in that area. So we want to ensure that the team exercise caution. It did not allow us anywhere to have a search and rescue intervention. To locate and to provide rescue tasks. As a force, we are always concerned about the safety of our ranks, and this remains a priority for us to locate and save and secure our ranks. As the Chief of Staff, I remain optimistic on a number of criteria. The officers on this aircraft are among our best. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles is no stranger to the public, and certainly not to the force. With over 4 decades of flying and flying experience. While we are analyzing all the information available to us, this event, this incident, I'm sure has generated additional anxiety in this period that we are in. As a force, one of the obligations we have is to communicate to the relatives of the officers and ranks on that flight, which we did. And we will continue to communicate with those family members. Our efforts to search will recommence in the morning. We have troops on the ground, and we will recommence those search efforts in the morning. I'm confident that what we would have gained today of the terrain and other data, we will have a better day tomorrow.
Travis Chase, HGP 19 News. Sir, were you able to confirm if anybody saw when the helicopter went down? What is your intelligence telling you that actually probably happened?
No, we don't have any reports of that. Anyone seen the helicopter going down? We don't have.
Gordon Mosley, news source. Sir, could you say if the Ghana Defense Force received any reports of movement with Venezuelan aircraft on that side of the border, on their side, during the course of the day, close to the Ghana border areas?
We do not have any information suggesting that there was any flight by Venezuelan aircraft in that area. And the location, as I mentioned, is approximately 30 miles east of the border. of the village called Arao. Yes.
Sir, taking into account all of the developments that took place last evening, what we heard from the Venezuelan president and from our own president late last night, and taking into account the weather conditions generally today, did the GDF think it best to send this team in with some of your more experienced persons into the area with all of that happening? Was it a wise choice looking back?
There's always looking back, there's always a better opportunity to see all the decisions we made. But I tell you, as a force, every time we are deployed, there's an assessment done. There's a map analysis of our flight route, and that was done. And the decision to go into that area was a decision made by the persons who would have been assessing the safety of that flight. It's a good question, Mr. Mosley, and I'm trusting the judgment, the initiative, the experience of those officers who would have planned and execute and conduct that flight, that they made a decision that consider all safety parameters.
Brigadier Dennis Chevalier, sir, could you say whether that area is inhabited by anyone or is it uninhabited? That's my first question.
Yes, it is not inhabited by persons. The closest we have location is the Keriku top, the Keriku bottom, where we have airstrip. But it's in a general area where there is no inhabitants.
Is it easily accessible by foot?
Well, I will tell you, if it was, we would have been there. It's heavily forested, mountainous, so it's not.
Okay.
Yes. So search and rescue mission would see us rappelling down into the jungle, and then search in the general area. Search and rescue, depending on the terrain, you would have the fixed aircraft flying over based on the location of the ELT signal, identifying the craft, then deploying the rotor wing, which is the helicopter, to have those ranks rappel down into the jungle.
So have any troops been rappelled down in the area today, or that was not
Yes.
possible due to the weather?
That was the intention, but even that we could not have done based on the visibility. Yes.
Sir, is the GDF concerned at all that this might be more than just an incident of a possible crash or impact? Taking into account this was a very experienced, 40 years, a very experienced pilot, knowing when to fly, how to fly in that specific area. Is the GDF concerned that this might be something more than the aircraft going down because of an emergency?
There's always a concern when something like this happens. Speculation is not what I want to go into. But of course, we have other situations in a period like what we are having now, with our territorial integrity being threatened. There's many other things we can think about, which I would not want to go into. But we are considering every possibility. And right now our priority is to find and save the lives of our officers and ranks.
Has the GDF, quickly, last question from me, has the GDF sought any assistance as yet from the U.S. Southern Command in terms of the search and rescue operations? There are reports that there have been U.S. military aircraft patrolling the skies over Guyana since this past weekend.
Well, I will tell you, incidentally, I had scheduled meetings today, several meetings, and our partners were updated on this search and rescue mission that we had today. And the US was informed, Brazil was informed, RSS was informed. And tomorrow we'll see additional assets being deployed as is necessary.
From the U.S. and your partners?
Well, we'll have it from our partners.
So, since we're on the issue of partners, do you know if we buy or do we get satellite photos from our friendly states to track any possible Venezuelan military incursion or something? Do you know?
Well, I'm not too sure if we are still on the. I want to stay on the search and rescue part of our press conference. Forgive me. Yes.
Any other questions referring to the operation?
Brigadier, Chief of Staff, have you asked for a review of the safety records for the aircraft? And if so, what has it shown so far?
I will tell you that's a good question. I know the GCAA has activated their process, and they are doing their work. We are meant to generate all the data, the manifest, the weight, the flight plan, etc. And all of that has been compiled and I believe submitted to the GCAA.
Were any reports brought to your attention about any problems with this aircraft?
No.
Since its acquisition?
Aircraft always develop issues that will not affect its flight, but may affect the air condition, other minor parts. Every time an aircraft goes up, it has the inspection and a certification of the engineer, and also with the pilot. They have to be satisfied before they fly. Given the experience we have with our pilots, there was no reported issue with that aircraft, that particular aircraft.
Do you know how old are these aircraft?
This is one of the 2 aircraft we acquired in the past 2 years. Yes. Yes.
Leroy Smith, Big Smith News Watch. Could you say, Chief of Staff, if the aircraft is properly equipped with the mechanism to scramble any attempt to interfere with its communication and these sort of stuff? Properly equipped.
The aircraft is properly equipped to fly. Our communication, there is a satellite phone on the aircraft other than its organic and indigenous communication set that it used to communicate with the flight control. There is a satellite phone on deck. We have not had any report of any interference relating to communication. But if you know, the satellite phone communication depends on a clear sky. So that also could be an issue why we have not been hearing from them or we communicating to them. Yes.
Sir, any message to the family of those soldiers on board? I know you said you're optimistic, but your demeanor doesn't say that. So what message do you send to the family this evening, and what message do you send to your soldiers in those bordering locations, Arao, Etiringbang?
Well, thank you for that, Mosley. But if your judgment of my demeanor is in any way your own interpretation, I want my officers safe. That's my focus right now. My troops on the border, I would tell you, their morale is high. I would have been visiting almost every week, along with other commanders, and I will be visiting them soon. But don't let my demeanor make you think otherwise.
Well, what do you say to your troops? They must be concerned. A missing aircraft there in these border locations, the threats from Venezuela. What assurances can you give them tonight?
You see, let me deviate a bit and tell you, we are a different breed of people. When we wear this uniform, it brings a new meaning to life. The enlistment in any military is not a decision that anyone could make. As a matter of fact, this is the best decision that we could have made. There are three types of people, Mr. Mosley, for me as a military officer. Those who go through life not knowing what they're good at and never finding what they're good at, and they die. And then the second type, those who go through life and knowing the latter part of their lives what they're good at, but they did not get the time enough to develop on it. And then there are those who in the early stage of their life understand what they want and what they're best at. And those people, all of them, fall in the category of being a soldier. We live our life to serve and to protect the country that we serve. And I'm confident that every officer and every soldier is in that category. For me to tell them something to convince them that everything is okay, I can do that, but I know they're already there. Thank you.
You have assurance that the GDF helicopter was not taken out of the sky by Venezuela?
We have no information to suggest that, because we also had rescue mission in the same area. We had 2 aircraft flying in that same area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And may you continue to serve like me, this country, this beautiful country.